All right, I'm in a different location today. I'm actually at my church doing my YouTube videos and my remote teaching today. Today we're doing chapters, let's see, 10, 11, and 12, The Twits by Roald Dahl. And here we go. Mrs. Twit gets a stretching. Mr. Twit led Mrs. Twit outdoors where he had everything ready for the great stretching. He had 100 balloons and lots of string. He has a gas cylinder for filling the balloons. He had fixed an iron ring into the ground. "Stand there," he said, pointing to the iron ring. He then tied Mrs. Twit's ankles to the iron ring. When that was done, he began filling the balloons with gas. Each balloon was on a long string, and when it was all filled with gas, it pulled on its string, trying to go up and up. Mr. Twit tied the ends. I'll let you look at the picture while I'm reading. Mr. Twit, you can see that, tied the ends of the strings to the top half of Mrs. Twit's body. Some he tied around her neck, some under her arms, some to her wrists, and some even to her hair. Soon there were 50 colored balloons floating in the air above Mrs. Twit's head. "Can you feel them stretching you?" asked Mr. Twit. I can, cried Mrs. Twit. "They're stretching me like mad." He put on another 10 balloons. The upward pull became very strong. Mrs. Twit was quite helpless now. With her feet tied to the ground and her arms pulled upward by the balloons, she was unable to move. She was a prisoner, and Mr. Twit had intended to go away and leave her like that for a couple of days and nights to teach her a lesson. In fact, he was just about to leave when Mrs. Twit opened her big mouth and said something silly. What is she going to say? Silly. You know, this is extremely mean. If he's supposed to be her husband and she's supposed to be his wife, why are they doing this to each other? I don't know. "Are you sure my feet are tied properly to the ground?" she gasped. "If those strings around my ankles break, it'll be goodbye for me." And that's what gave Mr. Twit his second nasty idea. Next chapter, Mrs. Twit goes ballooning up. "There's enough pull here to take me to the moon," Mrs. Twit cried out. "To take you to the moon?" exclaimed Mr. Twit. "What a ghastly thought. We wouldn't want anything like that to happen. Oh, dear me, no." "We most certainly wouldn't," cried Mrs. Twit. "But put some more string around my ankles quickly. I want to feel absolutely safe." "Very well, my angel," said Mr. Twit, and with a ghoulish grin on his lips, he knelt down at her feet. He took a knife from his pocket. With one quick slash, he cut through the strings, holding Mrs. Twit's ankles to the iron ring. She went up like a rocket. "Help!" she screamed. "Save me!" But there was no saving her now. In a few seconds, she was high up in the blue sky and climbing fast. Mr. Twit stood below, looking up. "What a pretty sight," he said to himself. "How lovely all those balloons look in the sky, and what a marvelous bit of luck for me. At last, the old hag is lost and gone forever." What a way to treat her. Look at that. Next chapter. Mrs. Twit goes ballooning down. Mrs. Twit may have been ugly and she may have been beastly, but she was not stupid. High up in the sky, she had a bright idea. "If I can get rid of some of these balloons," she said to herself, "I will stop going up and start to come down." She began biting through the strings that held the balloons to her wrists and arms and neck and hair. Each time she bit through a string and let the balloon float away, the upward pull got less and her rate of climb slowed down. When she had bitten through 20 strings, she stopped going up altogether. She stayed still in the air. She bit through one more string very, very slowly. She began to float downward. It was a calm day. There was no wind at all. And because of this, Mrs. Twit had gone absolutely straight up. She now began to come absolutely straight down. As she floated gently down, Mrs. Twits' petticoat billowed out like a parachute, showing her long knickers. That means her skirt was blowing out, showing her knickers. It was a grand sight on a glorious day, and thousands of birds came flying in from miles around to stare at this extraordinary old woman in the sky. All right, end of chapter. Oh boy, we got through 3 chapters very quickly today. Remember that we're reading The Twits by Roald Dahl. Very funny book, very entertaining. So we'll be back tomorrow with 3 more chapters. Bye-bye.